Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let me just check. Oops. Uh, Eclipse. Eclipse. Um, Live now. It was a bit loud last stream. Just a tad. Is that better? Sounds better. Yeah, sounds great. Whoa-hey! Right. Abraham. Should we just begin? Let me give myself a little bit of a moment to compose, to relax with this relaxing Bible study. Am I in the center or not? Hmm. I think I am now. Kill, kill, kill. Should we go for it? I like this bit of the stream where I don't have to worry because this all gets cut out. It's great. It's amazing. Um, right. Let's begin. So, unfortunately, in today's live stream, I actually won't be able to see the chat very well because I normally use my phone to read through the messages. However, earlier today, my phone got absolutely smashed by a car. Yeah, it was run over. Yep. No chat is coming through on this. If I open it up, that's about as much as you get. Can you see it? Nope, it's dead. Anyway, it won't stop us from streaming. We're going to carry on. And today we're going to be continuing the research into Genesis. And we are going to go with the amazing story of Abraham. I am very excited to find out more. It's quite a long story. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea. I've got my drink here. And we'll take this nice and slow as always, nice and relaxed. Let's begin. Look, you can see me there. See, I'm gonna use this as chat today, but yeah, it might not end too too well. I won't be able to see it live, as live as it were. But so yeah, let's begin. So it starts. We first of all in the last stream, which I realized the audio was peaking quite heavily throughout the whole thing. My bad. Still new to all this. However, what we went through is we started off with the story of Abraham through just trying to set up the scene a bit with it all. Starting with the Tower of Babel or Babel. Still don't understand which one. Babel, Eli, El, Babel, Babel. And we use that to sort of that's the starting point to which springboards into the story of it introduces the character of Abraham. And do you like my little cross, by the way? It's quite comforting in these streams. Then we had Abraham, or as he is currently, Abram, and he goes to Egypt because of a famine. He's worried, in quotation marks, because he very much capitalizes off of the worry. And he says that by bringing his wife to Egypt because of the famine, that he will be killed because she is too darn beautiful. So he says to his wife, "You're going to pretend to be my sister, and we're going to rock this out. And I'm going to basically, without being crass, basically pimped out his wife to the pharaoh, and he got a bunch of riches. So although he may have at first been doing it through the protection of himself, he certainly did capitalize off of it quite nicely through money, flock of sheep, and cows, and all sorts of animals that were gifted by the pharaoh to him in exchange for his sister, which was really his wife. But then things started to go wrong. It all went downhill, and the pharaoh realized that he had given it wasn't his sister, and it was in fact his wife, and so therefore went off, expelled him because things started going wrong. There was plagues and famines and stuff. So he said, "Be gone! I don't want your sister or wife or whatever she is. Go, take your stuff, be gone." So they travel up to Israel, to the promised land, and he is there with all his amazing stuff and his nephew Lot. And they have so much stuff that the land isn't big enough for the both of us. They can't supply enough vegetation and food for their flock, so they part ways. And Lot goes off towards Jordan, and Abram goes sticks more to the Israel side. So Lot goes over there. There's this big battle between all these different kings, a lot of kings with a lot of long names that I could not pronounce. But they have a big battle. A couple kings, I think it was the Sodom and Gomorrah kings, who, by the way, thinking about it, don't have too much luck, as we'll find out later in here. That's Sodom and Gomorrah. They're a bit of an unlucky place there. But yeah, those kings get stuck in a tar pit, and from there they get mugged by the other kings. And one of the things that they mug is Lot. They take Lot away with all his money as well. And one of the people working for Lot manages to escape back to Abram and says, "Hey, your nephew's been taken by these kings." So Abram rounds up all of his workers who are not trained soldiers, but molds them into trained soldiers. Is like, "There's a sword, go with me, and we're gonna steal Lot back." So they chase the kings all the way to Damascus in Syria, and wins and gets Lot back with all the goods and more wealth. So he's even richer now. And that is where we got to in the last stream. We also did say it's worth mentioning because mention. Wow, that's a word I didn't think I couldn't pronounce. Mention. We did mentioning. It's worth mentioning. All right, I'm going to move on. But it's a lost battle that. But it's worth saying that God made a covenant. I can't talk today. Covenant with Abrams, like a promise, saying that you're going to have a lot of descendants, as many as you can see stars in the sky and grains of sand, dust and sand on the beach and things. So that is where we got to, and that leeway leads us very nicely into this here. But first, I'm just going to check chat. Yeah, absolutely nothing's going on. Just as I like it. And here we go. We're gonna read through this. So now Sarai Abram's wife bore him no children. She had an Egyptian slave whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, "You see that the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go in to my slave. It may be that I shall obtain children by her." So, what's happening here? I don't quite know. It sounds like Abram's wife can't have children, so she says to Abram, "Look, I have an Egyptian slave, called Hagar. Hagar, uh, have children with her because that's the only way I'm going to have children is through her." So Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her slave, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife. He went to Hagar and she conceived. So he's got his first child, albeit illegitimate question mark. I mean, it's not quite royalty, but I don't know quite how Jewish customs were during this time. But I guess it's a male line, so maybe they looked a bit fondly. But monogamy, was that not treated? Did Let's look this up. Was monogamy the norm during Abraham's time? No, monogamy was not the exclusive or universal norm during Abraham's time, the early Bronze Age. The ancient Near East and within patriarchal tribal societies of the era, polygamy was widely accepted and practiced, and a practiced custom. Interesting. So this is normal. Go off with anyone during the time of Abram. So Abram has finally got a child. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. A little bit of jealousy there. Then Sarai said to Abram, "May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my slave to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt." By the way, if you heard that, that's my phone going off. I can't actually turn it off, so you're going to have to bear with, because again, it was run over by a car, a very big car as well. Not on purpose. So she looked with contempt. "May the Lord judge between you and me." But Abram said to Sarai, "Your slave is in your power. Do to her as you please." Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she ran away from her. So the jealousy has caused Hagar to flee. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness. Everything happens in the wilderness. This word wilderness seems to appear a lot in the Bible, or at least in the Christian sort of community. Wilderness. What a word, though, wilderness. It's a word you should probably use a little bit more. It's quite a poetic word, that wilderness. The spring on the way to Shur. So the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from? And where are you going?" She said, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit to her." The angel of the Lord also said to her, I will do greatly multiply your offspring, they, that they cannot be counted for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said to her, now you have conceived and shall bear a son. You shall call him Ishmael, for the Lord has given heed to your affliction. He shall be as a wild ass of a man. Now, I presume the word ass means donkey. Is that right? A wild donkey of a man. Interestingly enough, in Arabic, a common insult is mullah. I think that's how you pronounce it, mullah. And that means, I believe, this is what I've been told, during my travels, is it means donkey. And the reason it means you'd call someone a donkey is because donkeys are quite mad. And I can confirm in the Middle East, the donkeys are quite mad. They're a bit wild, a bit all over the place, a bit mental. Bit like me in these streams. I'm a mullah. So yeah, shall be a wild ass of a man, with your hand against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he shall live at odds with all his kin. I'm going to find out what this means in a minute, because there's a lot of it's a funny way to have a conversation these ancient times. However, there is one thing I want to find first, and that's this question here, which is, why did angels appear more common in the Bible? Because you don't really hear about angels like appearing nowadays. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Because they were more concentrated at major historical turning points, serving as active bridges between heaven and earth. Interesting. Now, two things came to mind there. The first is that that's quite interesting how so that they come to the main building blocks, which are the building blocks that built the Bible. So the big stories, the big ones. But also, secondly, what I find interesting about that is from this conversation, Hagar seems quite relaxed with encountering an angel. So they can't be that like startling, or were they just more used to them appearing for like tea? I don't know. Is there any Arabic speakers in the chat? Oh, there is no one in the chat. Ha! I've just exposed my loneliness on stream. Ah, dear. No one came to watch me. Boo. But I don't blame you. You got better things to do in your life. Actually, I guess. Yeah. I was gonna say there's nothing better than reading the Bible, but probably better you reading it than watching me read it. But hey, we'll read it together. I'm learning just as much as I hope you're learning. But yeah, now I want to find out, what does this mean here? I'm just gonna copy and paste it in because we have technology. What does this mean? Describes her unborn son. Okay, yeah, because she's still pregnant at this present time in the story. Ishmael. It describes his future character and descendants' way of life. Wow, that's a man. In the ancient Near East, was a symbol of untamable freedom, fierce independence. Yet the donkeys do run wild. They live free and living in the harsh open wilderness. So things haven't changed too much since this time. It means Ishmael will not conform to civilized city life, but instead will be rugged and independent. Interesting. A little bit of a prophecy there. So she named the Lord who spoke to her, "You are Elroy." For she said, Elroy? For she's why is she naming the Lord? Is that like God the Lord, or is that this angel of the Lord? I guess it does say she named the Lord. She named him Elroy. What's up, Elroy? For she said, "Have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him? Therefore, the well was called Beer. It lies between Kadesh and Bered." So what does Elroy mean? Elroy. That's a modern day name, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Elroy is a Hebrew name for God, the God who sees me. Oh, interesting. That's quite nice. I've already, we hear of like Yahweh and the great I am. I've not heard of that. Elroy. Am I right in thinking it's a name? Is Elroy a boy name? So yeah, it is. That's interesting. So people's name is God. Hmm. Right. Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram's named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. There he is. That's the man that's going to be living as an ass. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him, so he's quite old. Not a young buck anymore. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, and I will make my covenant between me and will make you exceedingly numerous." Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him, "As for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be the ancestor of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham." We got it, boys. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, he has changed from Abram to Abraham. Amazing. Now, why? Why did God change Abram to Abraham? To formalize his covenant and establish his new identity. So it's like a new life almost. Sounds like sort of new life. Like you're going to be a different person from now on. That's quite good. And something that like really does like make me think is how sort of Abram, like this what look, Abram fell on his face. It's like complete like submission to God and respect and like awe. "For I have made you the ancestor of a multitude of nations." That's why he's changed his name from Abram to Abraham. "I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offsprings after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land where you are now an alien, all the land of Canaan, for perpetual holding, and I will be their God." So he is making a promise, starting a new life. God said to Abraham, "As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offsprings after you throughout their generations. So keep my promise. This is my covenant. They really like that word covenant. Which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. I feel like I'm going in circles here. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a covenant, a sign of covenant between me and you. What is circumcision? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not going to look that up. Ah, yeah. Live on stream, instant ban on YouTube. If you don't know, I'd maybe do your own research. So yeah, this is where circumcision comes for Jews. I'm going to ask why. I'm going to be very careful here. Actually, I'm going to take it off while I search this. Why does God want circumcision? So this is the old covenant, not the new covenant. Okay. Cool. There's nothing no bad images here. In the Abrahamic traditions, so Judaism and Islam. So that would suggest some Christian denominations as well. God commanded circumcision primarily as an outward physical sign of an eternal covenant. Symbolizes a lifelong dedication to God, a mark of belonging to his chosen community, and the submission of one's entire self to his will. Interesting. Okay, going on. Throughout your generations, every male among you shall be circumcised. When he is 8 days old, including the slave born in your house and the one born with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring, both. So he's going to have to circumcise them as well. So shall my covenant be in your flesh and everlasting covenant. Any circumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. So it's about staying close to God, staying true to the covenant. There are so many questions I want to ask, but I can't on stream because I fear what will pop up. I pressed it a few too many times. It was supposed to be the drum for an epic joke. God said to Abraham, "As for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her Sarai, but Sarah." Thank God, because I could not pronounce that one, but I can pronounce that one. But Sarah, yeah, shall be her name. I will bless her and also give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she shall give rise to nations. Now, this is interesting because Sarah's quite old at this time, so is Abraham. So this is quite a remarkable thing to promise from God. Kings of people shall come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, "Can a child be born to a man who is 100 years old?" Yeah, that's quite mad. Can Sarah, who's 90 years old, bear a child? So it's quite remarkable. This is like, this doesn't. I'm finding this quite humorous. "Oh, that Ishmael might live in your sight," God said. "No, But your wife Sarah shall bear you a son, and you shall name him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will bless him and make him fruitful and exceedingly numerous. He shall be the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this season next year. So he's given a time. It's like, it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you when it's going to happen, but it's there, right there. This season next year. This time next year, you'll have a kid with a 90-year-old. And when he had finished talking with him, God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took his son Ishmael and all the slaves born in his house or bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very day. I'm sure they were very happy about that. And God said to him, Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And his son Ishmael was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day, Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised. And all the men of his house, slaves born in the house, and those bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. A lot of circumcision. Whew. Getting hot just thinking about it. Whew. These lights are quite mad, actually. I'm just gonna breeze up on what's happening in chat. Not a lot. Cool. Carrying on then. There's a few people. There's a few people here. They're just not talking. That's all right. I don't like talking either. That's what I do. I live stream all the time. Cool. What's next? What happened? We got to that? Yeah. Next. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre. It was his by the oaks. They like the oaks. Don't blame them. It's a nice tree. As he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, he looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree. Let me bring a little bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant. So they said, Do as you have said. And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of choice flour, knead it and make cakes. Quick, bake something. Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, a real good one, and gave it to the servant, who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set him before them. I'm getting hungry just reading this. And he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, Where is your wife, Sarah? And he said, There in the tent. Then one said, I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I have grown old and my husband is old, shall I be fruitful?" No, so she probably thinks in this because she's in the tent. She hasn't actually seen them. She probably thinks she hasn't. These guys haven't seen me. I'm old. They're like, "You're gonna have a kid." I'm like, "You ain't seen what you're predicting there." Um, the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too wonderful for the Lord?" And the time set at that time, I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied, saying, "I did not laugh, for she was afraid." He said, "Yeah, you did." She can't pull the can't pull the lamb's wool over God's eyes. Then the men set out from there, and they looked towards Sodom. And Abraham went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Seeing that Abraham shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. No, I have chosen, for I have chosen him, that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Then the Lord said, "How great is the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how very grave their sin. I must go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me, and if not, I will know." So remember, Lot was very much Lot, Abraham's nephew, is very much entwined with living with within Sodom and Gomorrah. So might be part of the reason that Abraham went. However, the interesting thing here is there seems to be a lot of like almost like a Noah's Ark sort of feel to it, where it's like there's a lot of problems going on, but I'm going to see it for myself. Great outcry. That's what it reads like to me. So the men turned from there and went to Sodom. Is it Sodom or Sodom? While Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham came near and said, "Will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose they are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not forgive it for the 50 righteous who are in it?" So he said, "Are you going to get rid of Sodom and Gomorrah if there's 50 righteous living in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked." So he's saying, God, it's not like you to get rid of the righteous along with the wicked. Far be that from you. They spoke really nice back then. Far be that from you. It's almost Shakespearean. I know this is translated into English and older English, so don't. Yeah, I know they spoke Hebrew or Greek, Aramaic. Don't know. Shall not the judge of the earth do what is just? Oh, he's really like challenging God here. And the Lord said, "If I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will forgive the whole place for their sake." Abram answered, "Let me take it upon myself to speak to my Lord. I who am but dust and ashes." So this is the sort of feel of like being God creating man from the dust, which we saw in creation. Suppose 5 of those 50 righteous are lacking. So 45. We destroy the whole city for lack of 5. And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again, he spoke to him. Suppose 40 are found there. Oh, he's really persistent, Abraham, isn't he? Oh, dear. Really going like, he's like a little kid that's like, yeah, but what about this? What about this? He's actually quite annoying in this. 40 there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, do not let my Lord be angry if I speak. I'm angry, Abraham. Thousands of years later, you're being very you're not quite getting the point. Why don't you go down the numbers a bit quicker than in 5 times tables? So do not be angry if I speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, let me take it upon myself to speak to my Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. At least he's going down in tens now. He answered, why doesn't he just ask how many? Why is he doing this guessing game? He answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, oh, do not let my Lord be angry. You're on thin ice, boy. If I speak just once more. Thanks. Thanks that is the case. Suppose 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. So he's been quite generous here. So I'm not going to destroy the whole city of unrighteous people because, there are righteous living in there. And I am just. Now, this almost, just hear me out here, almost feels a little bit like there's an essence, like a sprinkling, a seasoning of Jesus. It's like maybe not Jesus literally referencing Jesus or prophesizing Jesus, but it has this sort of feel to it that feels like Jesus, like the sparing of the unrighteous for the righteous. It just feels like that to me. I don't know quite why, but it does feel like it. Might be wrong, but it does indeed feel like it. But yeah, especially as hmm, it's like yeah, nah. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot, so there he is, Abraham's nephew, was sitting in the gateway of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. He said, please, my lords, turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you can rise early and go on your way. So this is interesting. 2 angels came to Sodom, but they seem to have feet. Interesting. But he urged them strongly. Hang on, I'll skip over a little bit. Then you can rise early and go on your way. Then they said, no, we will spend the night in the square. But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it sounds very nice. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them. So they're getting a bit like, the guy's like, I want to see the angels. Lot went out of the door to the men, shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look, I have two daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they replied, Stand back! And they said, This fellow came here as an alien, and he would play the judge. So this is referencing the fact that earlier we discovered that Lot uh, split off with Abraham and came to the city of Sodom. And he went and he played judge. So they were sort of judging him for being the judge, sort of having this sort of judge. They're judging the judge. He was actually quite polite, Lot, as well. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. They're looking for a bit of a fight there, it seems. Then they pressed hard against the man, Lot, and came near to the door to break it down. Wow, they were really persistent. But the men inside reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the door of the house, both small and great, so that they were unable to find the door. So what happened there? What does this mean? This passage describes a mob of men. Why were the mob angry? The mob was angry because Lot refused to hand over his guests, and he had violated the town's culture of extreme hostility towards outsiders. Interesting. Carrying on. Okay. So then the men said to Lot, Have you anyone else here? Sons in law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city, bring them out of the place. For we are about to destroy this place because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Dun, dun, dun. So Lot went out and said to his sons in law, who were to marry his daughters, Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his son-in-laws to be jesting. So they think, dad's joking. My father-in-law is joking. What a loony. So when morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, Get up, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, or else you will be consumed in the punishment of the city, but he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife. They're like, "Oh, come on. We're going to destroy it. Leave. You're still here? Oh, can I just come on. Let's take him with us." And they brought him out and left him outside the city. They had to like carry him out. When they had brought them outside, they said, "Flee for your life. Run for your life. Do not look back." That's important. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills, or else you will be consumed. And Lot said to them, "Oh no, my lords, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot flee to the hills for fear the disaster will overtake me and I die. Look, that city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my life will be saved." He said to him, "Very well, I grant you this favor to you, and will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I can do nothing until you arrive there." Therefore, the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Now, this is interesting because that sounds very much like a volcano. However, I don't think that there's any. So, this is all taking place relatively, I'd say, near the Dead Sea, it would seem. Potentially on the Jordan side, maybe. And there's no active volcanoes around this time. I know because I looked this up. And there's no active volcanoes, but this is very much volcanic sounding, sulfur and fire, coming down from the heavens. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that grew on the ground. So he's destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. But Lot's wife behind him looked back. Rookie mistake. They did warn you. And she became a pillar of salt. Now, that's interesting. Salt. Now, what is the Dead Sea full of? Salt. That's why you float about and you swim in it. Can't actually swim, and you just it's really weird. Anyway, Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah. I believe they don't actually know where Sodom and Gomorrah is. So if there's any archaeologists in chat, hurry up. This would probably if they did find out an archaeological discovery of Sodom and Gomorrah. Actually, let me look. See, I'm learning my stuff. I'm learning. He's turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham went early, and his wife turned into a pillar of salt. When he stood before the Lord. So he went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards all the land of the plain, and saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. When he overthrew the plains, so this is when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had settled. This is, I think, talking about the earlier, like about, are you going to destroy it if there's a few righteous living in there? He's like, no, I won't do it. So he's remembered Abraham, and he's saved Lot from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Cool. Epic escape. Wife turned into salt. All done. From there, Abraham journeyed towards the region of the Negeb, 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 and settled between Kadesh and Shur, while residing in the Gerar as an alien. Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." No, not this again. And King Abimelech of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abilene, Ab. I'm just gonna call him Ab in a dream by night, and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a married woman." He's done it again. He can't get enough, man. He's like, "Ah, it's my sister." It's what a weirdo. Oh dear. Did he not learn from the first time round? Did he not himself say to me, "She is my sister"? And she herself said, "He is my brother." Oh, she's in on it. She's on it. Yeah, she's in on it too. Those rascals. Uh, he is my brother. I did this in the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands. Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know. Trust me, I know that you have done that you did this in the integrity of your heart. Furthermore, it was I who kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now then, return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you shall surely die, you and all that are yours." Cool. That told me there that it's made it quite clear that you can sin even if you don't know that you are sinning. So Ab rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told them all these things, and the men were very much afraid. It's amazing that the dream was right. Then Ab called Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I sinned against you, that you have brought such great guilt on me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that ought not to be done." Trust me, Ab, I'm on your side here. It's not on. It's not on. And Ab said to Abraham, "What were you thinking?" He's really scolding him. "That you did this thing." Abraham said, "Yeah, what's your excuse, Abraham? What have you got to say for yourself?" "I did it because I thought surely there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she is indeed my sister, huh? The daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother." Oh, they're all in on it. What is wrong? And when God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, "This is the kindness you must do me. At every place to which we come, say of me, he is my brother." Then Ab took sheep and oxen and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham. He's got more money and stuff. He can't lose. This guy's richer than Elon Musk. Yeah, because Elon Musk's stocks are all in oxen and sheep. I would say this, but I don't want to end up in a lawsuit. It's just a joke. Chill out. Then Ab took sheep and oxen and male and female, and gave them to Abram, and restored his wife Sarah to him. Ab said to him, "My land is before you. Settle there, settle where it pleases you." He's really let him off the hook here. He even paid him for the trouble. To Sarah, he said, "Look, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. 1,000. He's minted. It is your exoneration before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Ab and also healed his wife and female slaves so that they bore children. For the Lord had closed fast all the wombs of the house of Ab because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Oh, they're really causing problems wherever they go. The Lord dealt with Sarah, had said, And the Lord did for Sarah as he had promised. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age. Wow, that's amazing. For Sarah and Abraham to be so old to birth Isaac is quite extraordinary. Really shows the power of God here. At the time of which God had spoken to him, Abraham gave the name Isaac to his son, whom Sarah bore him. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, and as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Now Sarah said, God has brought laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, who would ever have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. It's amazing. So God lived up to his promise. Ding. Pretty good. Pretty good. I also like the fact that she's sort of she's making fun of herself here a bit. You know, she's seeing that she's acknowledging. I think because now she can see it because it's actually happened. She's like, yeah, I was silly back then. I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious, but look at me now. Let's carry on. The child grew and weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. What does that word mean? I've never seen that word before. What? Define weaned. Okay. You can really tell I'm not a father if I don't know what weaned is in the Bible. Does it mean the same thing? Oh, okay. Oh no, it's the same. Transitioning from breastfeeding to solid foods. Interesting. You learn something every day, don't you? But Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, playing with her son Isaac. Hmm. So she said to Abraham, cast out the slave woman with her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not inherit along with my son Isaac. Oh, she's really like this girl's fiery. She's really like jealous of the Egyptian slave Hagar that she actually like was like, I vouch for this woman. Have a child with him. And ever since then, oh, can't let it go. The matter was very distressing to Abraham on account of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed because of the boy, because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do not do as she tells you, for it, for it is through Isaac that offspring shall be named for you. As for the son of the slave woman, I will make a nation of him also, because he is your offspring. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder along with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. Beersheba. Wasn't that what? Isn't that the name of the other Jesus that was on trial, the murderer? What was? I might be completely wrong here. The name of the murderer on trial with Jesus. Oh, Barabbas. Look, I was wrong. I know it's a place. I know. But I thought it might be the same. You never know. What's next? When the water in the skin was gone, she cast the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him, a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot. Wow, that's a cool way of measuring a distance. For she said, "Do not let me look on the death of the child." And she sat opposite him. She lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Come, lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make great nation of him." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. So they were sort of worried about drinking. Yeah, when the water was gone. So she was worried about giving Ishmael water. God was with the boy, and he grew up. He lived in the wilderness. So this is the same thing about, like, he's going to be wild and free. He's going to live in the wilderness like a donkey, and became an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother got a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Well, it's just, Amazon next day delivery. At the time, Ab with Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, "God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me or with your offspring, or with my posterity. But as I have dealt loyally with you, you will deal with me and with the land where you have resided as an alien." And Abraham said, "I swear it." When Abraham complained to Ab about a well of water that Ab's servants had seized, Ab said, "I do not know who has done this. You tell me." So someone's ruined the well, and it's one of Ab's servants. "And I have not heard of it until today." So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Ab, and the two men made a covenant. Abraham set apart seven ewe lambs of flock, and Ab said to Abraham, "What is the meaning of these seven ewe lambs that you have set apart?" He said, "These seven ewe lambs you shall accept from my hand in order that you may be a witness for me that I dug this well. I want you to know that I dug this well. So this is my sign, my evidence, my proof that I did it." It's like comparing bank statements with lambs. Therefore, that place was called Beersheba, because they're both of them swore an oath. Both of them swore an oath. When they had made a covenant at Beersheba, Ab with Fecal, the commander of his army, left and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God, and Abraham resided as an alien many days in the land of the Philistines. Cool. They made it. That's where Beersheba comes from, because they made an agreement. Oh, now it gets interesting. After these things, God tested Abraham. He said to Abraham, and he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I shall show you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took two of his young men with him and his son Isaac. He cut the wood for the burnt offering and set out and went to the place in the distance that God had shown him. So this is really testing Abraham's faith here. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place far away. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. Look after the car. Don't scratch it. And the boy and I will go over there. Don't follow us. Stay there. Don't worry if he doesn't come back. We will worship, and then we will come back to you. We will come back to you. He's lying. He's telling porkies. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife, and the two of them walked on together. Isaac said to his father, Abraham, Father, and here I am, son, he said. The fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? So he's like, where's this lamb that you're offering? Oh, no, 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 my son. This is not you. You are the lamb. No, Jesus is the lamb. Abraham said, God himself will provide the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. That's interesting because that is true. He will provide the lamb, but not Isaac. And the two of them walked on together. When they came to the place that God had shown them, Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. I wonder how he bound him. I wonder if they had a fight or whether it was more persuasive. It was like, hey, Isaac, do you know what would be funny? If you just, if I can just tie you up and put you on this wood ready to be burnt. And laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called him from the heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. He said, Yep, here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. So this is interesting. So he doesn't actually want him to kill him, but he just wanted to see whether that is whether he would. And he did. He was willing. However, this is interesting because reading this, the thing that I thought of when I read this was, it's like you're told that God has to be number one in your life, and this is really the story that's really putting that into perspective. Like, you need to put God above your own son, because I think a lot of people would put and not in a horrible way, like in a loving way, um would prefer to protect their son. They'd prioritize their son as the most important in their life. But here it is saying it really should be God. Hmm. God is number one in your life. And I guess that's supposed to be like for the reasoning of, if everything goes through, then you've always got God. And God is the most important thing in your life. If everything else goes wrong, God is still there. It's the most important thing. Without faith in God, not a lot, not a lot can be done. Carrying on. Right. Um, do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for I know that you fear God. This fear of God. And Abraham looked up and saw a ram, caught it in the thicket by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered it as a burnt offering instead of his son. He's like, we're burning something. That I'm gonna burn that ram there. So Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide, as it is said to this day. I presume that's said in Hebrew. On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will indeed bless you, and I will make your offspring as numerous as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. Now, this is interesting because I spoke about it last live stream about the sort of how there's the common like statistic which is like there's more stars in the observable universe than there is sand on a beach or something. So it's interesting that the Bible has used a similar comparison here. And your offspring, and in fact it's God who has made the similar comparison, which really shows the sort of wisdom of God. Hmm. And he's doing this because he obeyed God's voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now, after these things, it was told Abraham, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, the firstborn, Buz, his brother, Uz and Buz, Uz and Buz, Kem, Kemuel, the father of Aram. Okay, and there's a lot of other ones here. A lot of other ones. Another long list of names. So yeah, it's all coming true. Things are happening. People are being born. Sarah lived 120 years. That's a long life, but not that long in comparison to earlier in Genesis, where they were living nearly for a millennium, living 1,000 years almost. So yeah, things have gotten a bit worse in aging, but 120 is 27. 127 is pretty good. I want to know their diet. This was the length of Sarah's life, and Sarah died at Kiriath Arba. Kiriath Arba. That is Hebron. in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Abraham rose up from beside his dead deed and said to the Hittites, I am a stranger and an alien residing among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, so that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, Hear us, my lord, for you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. So you're gonna have the cream of the cream of the crop. None of withhold from you any burial ground for burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land. He said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of sight, hear me and entreat for me Ephron, son of Zohar, so that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. Give me the cave. I want the cave. It is the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as a possession for a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron, the Hittites, answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of his city, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you that cave that is in it. In the presence of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land. He said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, If you only will listen to me, I will give the prince of the field. Accept it from me, so that I may bury the dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Listen, it's only a little bit of money. What is it between me and you? You know, we're mates. Bury your dead. Don't worry about it. Abraham agreed with Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants. So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, did you know what is interesting? In fact, is these like they really go into detail as to where things are, but it actually probably is quite useful for modern day archaeologists to actually find where these things are. Like, are we going to find a tomb in a cave somewhere that is east of Mamre in a field? It's probably a car park nowadays, but yeah, could be. In the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area passed to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites, in the presence of all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre. This is Hebron in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it passed from the Hittites into Abraham's possession as a burying place. Now, I've got a couple questions. First, do we know where the tomb of Abraham's wife. Not wealth. Ooh, wealth. We might find a gold mine there. No, wife. Modern. So do we know what this is? Buried inside the cave of the patriarchs, also known as the cave of the Machpelah, located in the ancient city of Hebron in the West Bank. Can't be directly accessed, the actual cave, but it sits beneath a massive Herodian era stone enclosure that stood for over 2,000 years. So they do know where it is. It's under here. This is 2,000 years old. Wow. So it's not a car park. And the second question is what was my second question? Oh yeah. Why is there so much like why does the Bible mention about the Abraham's buying of a cave? The first legal property he and his descendants owned in the promised land. Ah, interesting. I thought it was a bit weird why they were going on, but burial. Ah, interesting. So they've been living in a tent. Now he actually owns a little cave. Interesting. Cool. That is actually quite cool. See, it helps when you have questions and you want them to be answered. It is so hot in this room. It's already hot. It was a hot day today, but it doesn't help. Spending my evenings in an already hot room with a lot of lights. But we're gonna push on. Let's go. Okay, carrying on. Now Abraham was old, advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. Yeah, he's living a pretty nice life at the minute, except his wife is now dead. Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his house, who had charge all that he had, put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not get my wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, but will go to my country and to my kindred and get a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. So he's like, I don't want you to, like, I'm getting old. When you try and find a wife for my son, Isaac, I don't want you having the Canaanites. Is it the Canaanites? Yeah, the Canaanites. I don't want them. No, 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 no. My daughter-in-law will not be a Canaanite. I want you to go to my country and find someone else. And the servant's like, why? What if she doesn't want to come with me? Abraham said, see to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my birth, and who spoke to me and swore to me, to your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there. So don't stay in this land. This is our land. Do not take him away from this land. He needs to stay here. But bring a wife here. Take out delivery driver. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this master, as this ancient pinky promises, putting a hand under the thigh. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all kinds of choice gifts from his master, and he set out and went to Aram Nahim. So this is a weird way of Tinder, you know. Send your servant to find you, your son or wife. He made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water. It was toward evening, the time when women go out to draw water. So he's put himself in a position where he knows there's going to be women. And he said, "O Lord God, my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. I am standing here by the spring of water, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, please offer your jar that I may drink, and who shall stay? Drink, and I will water your camels." These are some weird pickup lines. "Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master." Before he had finished speaking, there was Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel's son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor. Abraham's brother, coming out with a water jar. "I got a water jar," on her shoulder. The young woman was very fair to look upon, a virgin whom no man had known. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, she's like, "Oh, you, come, please go out with my master's son. Please let me sip a little water from your jar." I think, if I was a girl and some like servant ran up to me and was like, "Gonna sip from your jar," I'd be like, slap, nuh-uh, inappropriate, leave me alone. She said, "I will draw for your camels also." She's playing ball. "Until they have finished drinking." So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw, and she drew for all his camels. The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. When the camels had finished drinking, so he's testing, he's making sure. The man took a gold nose ring, weighed a half shekel, and 2 bracelets for her arms, and weighed 10 gold shekels, and said, "Tell me whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, son of my Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." She added, "We have plenty of straw and fodder for the place to spend the night." Sounds like she likes him. And he's going to be like, "No, no, 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 not me. My master's son, Isaac." She added, We have plenty of straw. Yeah, so you can stay the night. The man bowed his head and worshipped the Lord and said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love and his faithfulness towards my master. As for me, the Lord has led me on the way to the house of my master's kin. I want to know what happened to Ishmael? I can't remember. He was banished to the desert with his mother. Great. Oh, he's living pretty free, pretty. Oh, he lives a very happy life. Some people in still live in the desert, in caves. Um, where am I? Then the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man to the spring. As soon as he had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms, and when he heard the words of his sister Rebecca, thus the man spoke to me. He went to the man. This is a stranger, and she's really like, "Yep, I'm going with him, ma." And there he was, standing by the camels and the spring. He said, "Come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside when I have prepared the house of a place for the camels?" Who needs Love Island when you've got the Bible? This is like, this is early centuries, ancient time romance here. The rom-com of the time. So the man came into the house, and Laban unloaded the camel and gave him straw and fodder for the camels and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Then food was set before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told my errand. He said, Speak on. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become wealthy. He has given him flock and herds, silver and gold, male and female slaves, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given him all that he has. That was quite a nice summary of the story of Abraham, actually. Well done, servant. Well done, peasant. My master made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in the land in whose land I live, but you shall go to my father's house to my kindred and get a wife for my son. I had on next day delivery. I said to my father, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said, The Lord before whom I walk will send his angel with you and make your way successful. You shall get a wife for my son from my kindred, from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath. When you come to my kindred, even if they will not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. Cool. Plan's going ahead. Uh, who was Abraham's wife? The dad. Who was Abraham's father? Terah. Yeah, that's it. Cool. I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, if now you will not make successful the way I am going, I am standing here by the spring of water. Let the young woman who comes out to draw, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water from your jar, and who will say to me, drink, 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 and will straw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master. So, what breaking down what this is saying is it's basically summing up quite nicely to the father of or the brother of Rebecca. What's the deal basically? And he said, look, I was at the well and I said to God, let the woman who's right do this, and it happened. So she's the one. She's coming with me. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, there was Rebecca coming out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew. I said to her, please let me drink. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulders and said, drink, and I will also water your camels. So I drank, and she also watered the camels. Then I asked her, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah Milcah bore to him. So I put the nose ring on her nose, not on her foot, and the bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me on the right way to obtain the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you will deal loyally and truly with my father, with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me. Tell me. What do you say? So that I may turn either to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered, the thing comes from the Lord. We cannot speak to you anything bad or good. Look, Rebecca is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord had spoken. When Abraham's servant, so the plan worked, when Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed himself to the ground before the Lord, and the servant brought out jewelry of silver and gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave to her brother and to her mother costly ornaments. It's really like, you know, getting on the family's good books. Then he and his men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. They had a bit of a party, it seems. When they rose in the morning, he said, send me back to my master. Her brother and her mother said, let the young woman remain with us for a while, at least 10 days after that she may go. But he said to them, do not delay, since the Lord has made my journey successful. Let me go, that I may go to my master. They said, we will call the young woman and ask her. And they called Rebecca and said to her, will you go with this man? She said, I will. It's nice they asked. So, especially when they got all the nice gifts, the nice ornaments, are like, oh, they decorated our house quite nicely here. So they sent away their sister Rebecca and her nurse, along with Abraham's servant and his men, and they blessed Rebekah and said to her, may you, our sister, become thousands of myriads. May your offspring gain possession of the gates of their foes. That's quite poetic. Then Rebekah and her maids rose up, mounted the camels, and followed the man and the servants, took Rebekah and went his way. Now Isaac had come from Beer Roy, and was settled in Negev. Isaac went out in the evening to walk in the field, and quickly and when she saw Isaac, she slipped quickly from the camel and said to the servant, "Who is this man over there walking in us walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It is my master." So she took her veil and covered herself, and the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. He took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. I ain't got my mother, but at least I got a wife. Technical difficulties. And we're back. Cool. Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah, so he's remarried after the death of his wife. She bore him Zimran and a load of others. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, so Isaac is the one that he's chosen to give all his wealth to. The rest, you're on your own. But to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts. What's a concubine? Concubine. A woman in a legally or socially recognized relationship with a man, but not an official wife. Oh, interesting. Cool. Abraham gave gifts, but to the sons of his concubines, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the east country. This is the length of Abraham's life, 175 years. Wow, long life. Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age. Yeah, it certainly was a good old age at 175. And old and full of years. Yep, full of life. A big life story there. And we've covered all of it. And live on stream. And was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, the one he bought, I presume, with his wife, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar, the Hittites, east of Mamre, the field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites. There, Abraham was buried with his wife, Sarah. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his sons Isaac, and Isaac settled at Beer Roy. Cool. That's where we're going to end the story of Abraham. But first, I just want to look something up, which is why was Abraham unable to buy land? Because he was a nomadic foreigner in Canaan who owned no real estate. He was fully capable, but didn't. Fair enough. Cool. But yeah, thank you very much. That's the end of the stream. I'll see you in the next one. And what is the next one? Ishmael? Descendants of Ishmael. Jacob. Oh, yes. Joseph. Jacob, Joseph. Cool. That's a good story. Based, yeah, that is good. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. It's been great. I've learned a lot all about Abraham. And yeah, this is the book. Just want to let you know. Herod's Heap. It's a illustrated children's book, perfect for 7 to 8 year olds, but can be equally enjoyed by you older people because it is absolutely packed with historical and theological details about King Herod and the story of nativity. It took a lot of hard work to make this, and a lot of research has gone into it, so it is packed with lots of detail that can be enjoyed by pretty much anyone, but specifically 7 to 8 year olds. I've got a lot of feedback from parents of that age group, and they absolutely love it, which is always lovely to see. But yeah, you can get it now on Amazon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.